Gaetz, the biggest firebrand inside of the House of Representatives.
You're not taking Matt Gaetz off the board, okay? Because Matt Gaetz is an American patriot and Matt Gaetz is an American hero.
We will not continue to allow the uniparty to run this town without a fight.
I want to thank you, Matt Gaetz, for holding the line.
Matt Gaetz is a courageous man. If we had hundreds of Matt Gaetz in D.C., the country turns around. It's that simple.
He's so tough, he's so strong, he's smart, and he loves this country. Matt Gaetz.
It is the honor of my life to fight alongside each and every one of you. We will save America. It's choose your fighter time. Send in the Firebrands. You are now free to move about the country. It wasn't just Southwest Airlines' slogan years ago. It now seems to be the policy of the Biden administration on the border. I've got a lot of information about who's coming, how they're coming, where it's creating costs. Thank you to all of you for tuning in live on our program from Utah, California, Florida, Texas, Massachusetts, Kentucky, Arizona, and as one Rumble viewer put it, Buffalo. I would not want to be in upstate New York right now, but there are a few of you who are watching. So here is the breaking news. We've got a new report by the House Judiciary Committee with new numbers about the invasion going on in the worsening state at the southwest border. Here's some of the top line information you need to know. Of the nearly 6 million illegal alien encounters from January 20th, 2021 through September 30th, 2023, at least 3 million plus illegal aliens have no confirmed departure from the United States. That's as of September 30th, 2023. There are at least 617,607 aliens on ICE's non-detained docket who have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges, meaning more than 500,000 possible criminal illegal aliens are on the streets of the United States right now, free to reoffend in the communities, and their victims, that's collateral damage that Mayorkas and Biden are willing to accept. So as of December 10th, 2023, there were 1.3 million plus illegal aliens with final orders of removal from the United States. So they've been through the entire process, and the Department of Homeland Security has placed only 6.8% of illegal aliens encountered at the southwest border into proceedings to even be screened for asylum eligibility. So the remaining 94% just let in. Doesn't matter who they are, where they're going. Of the at least 3.3 million illegal aliens who then are released in the United States since January 20th, 2021, the Biden administration failed to remove through immigration proceedings or court removal proceedings 99.7% of those illegal aliens. We don't need to pass a new law for amnesty. The status quo is amnesty. The Biden administration has only removed one illegal alien for every 26 illegal aliens it is allowed to enter the United States. And a lot are staying who are doing a lot of harm. As of August 31, 2023, DHS has removed only 2% of illegal aliens who failed to appear at their court hearings. So there was a time in which 98% of those illegal aliens were remaining in the United States even past August of 2023. So they let millions in, they don't screen them, and then even the ones that don't show up for their hearings or get a final order of removal, they get to stay forever. And it's sickening. And even more so, it's dangerous. Let's pull up what we learned from Dave Rubin. This has been all over the internet. It seems to be evidence that by using the CBP One app that we showcased for you on prior episodes was really a digital device created for the cartels to be able to process more people into the country. If you've signed up on the CBP One app, well then guess what? You just get to roll through TSA. So while TSA is taking pictures of you and your loved ones and giving you the rubber glove treatment at times, the illegal aliens just get to roll right through. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I'm glad Dave Rubin pointed it out. And it's something that I'm going to be calling for hearings on because we got to get the answers on that. And frankly, Mayorkas deserves impeachment over this whole regime that has been constructed by that crew. And so how about the cost of these things, right? We've gone over the numbers. We've gone over how they're distributed then throughout the country through TSA and CBP1. And now you have this news from the Associated Press. New York governor wants to spend $2.4 billion to help with migrant influx in new budget proposal. So that's what you get. That's your sanctuary, New York taxpayers. You wonder why you pay such high state income taxes, why your property taxes, your cost of living are so high? It's because you're paying for all the illegals, and Governor Kathy Hochul wants $2.4 billion more for that. There's another little battle going on regarding a Texas busing company suing Baltimore for some local regulations that are stopping, I guess, the arrival of all these migrants in their sanctuary. Fox 32 has the report from Chicago. Take a listen.
A Texas bus company now is fighting back, launching a federal lawsuit against the city of Chicago. It claims efforts by sanctuary cities to stop the buses from dropping off migrants is unconstitutional.
While some sanctuary cities like Chicago and New York have filed lawsuits against Texas bus companies, now they're hitting the city of Chicago right back. This is because they've gotten their buses impounded for breaking ordinance guidelines. That includes the likes of Wind Transportation, which says it's being discriminated against for doing business with the state of Texas. The ordinance states, quote, unscheduled intercity buses shall not load/unload passengers within the city of Chicago between the hours of 5:30 p.m. and 8 a.m. Monday to Friday, nor at any time on Saturdays, Sundays, or designated city of Chicago holidays. These companies also need to give advance notice of their arrival. Because the ordinance is aimed at these out-of-state bus companies, Wind Transportation's lawyer tells me this violates the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution. It also targets the passengers on those buses based on their migrant status and essentially national origin. Therefore, it also violates the Equal Protection Clause and the Due Process Clause. Since this is a migration issue, it also makes it a federal issue, thus violating the Supremacy Clause. New York has filed 17 lawsuits against bus companies, Chicago filing almost 100.
We are back live, and this is so rich. You've got these sanctuary cities that want to cast moral judgment on the rest of us. They want to morally self-preen about how accommodating and humane they are. And then when Governor Abbott, Governor DeSantis, anyone else says, okay, you guys want to be the sanctuary, we're sending you the third world that you seem to be willing to import to achieve that. And when they arrive, now they're saying, whoa, these buses, they don't meet all of our regulatory demands. And it is duplicitous, and it is the height of hypocrisy to want to get all of the moral clarity and prestige out of being a sanctuary city better than the rest of us, when in reality, nobody wants MS-13 living next door. And so you should actually support policies that stop that from happening, policies that we saw during the Trump administration and could certainly be replicated quite easily if there was a will to do so. So there's another big report out of the House Judiciary Committee. This is massive. Chairman Jordan was talking about the manner in which major financial institutions, banks, everyone needs some sort of bank or means of transmitting funds or holding funds. And now, because they're being pressured by the FBI and other features within our own government, they want to know, did you ever send a note to someone with a financial transaction that said MAGA on it? Did you buy a Bible? Did you buy a firearm? These things compounded in the scoring system. It's like the Chinese social credit score. So if you bought a Bible and a gun and made a donation to a MAGA candidate within a certain period of time, oh my gosh, you might be a domestic violent extremist. Here's Jim Jordan, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Take a listen.
Yeah, at the request of government, you got banks searching private transactions of their customers for key search terms, key words, it looks like, without any warrants, without any legal process. And what were those keywords they were searching? Did they purchase religious texts? Did they shop at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop? Were they purchasing a firearm? You go through this, Larry. That pretty much describes the vast majority of the people in the 4th District that I get the privilege of representing, for goodness sake. So this is financial surveillance at its worst, it looks like to us. We're just getting into this. We're going to do transcribed interviews, depositions. We're going to get documents. We're going to find out how extensive this was. But it looks like big government, big corporations working together to go after to financially spy on American citizens.
Can I ask a dumb question? What did Dick's Sporting Goods do wrong? They're on the list.
No, I think, they're on the list. Cabela, they're not looking at them as, they're looking at what people buy, because they think, they could be a violent extremist if they're buying a firearm at Dick's Sporting Goods, or they're buying a fishing pole at Cabela's, and they're also purchasing religious texts at some bookstore. Somehow that fits this I tell you what this sounds like. When you read through what the few documents we've got thus far, it sounds exactly like that memorandum in the Richmond field office that we discovered about pro-life Catholics being described as violent extremists. It sounds just like that document. And remember, the FBI said, no, that was a one-off. That was just this one field office. Well, now we have this that we've discovered that was much broader, working through Treasury and the FBI, it looks like, working together to with corporations to target American citizens.
We're back live. Mac Cooper on YouTube says, this is the Patriot Act. Thanks, Patriot Act. That's the comment. And a lot of the vestiges of the Patriot Act ended up getting used against patriots. That's why we should be very skeptical of these extensions of spying authority that we know are subject to abuse and, in fact, do get abused. And speaking of abuse, we see some coming out of New York courts. This report from NBC News: judge denies Daniel Penny's request to dismiss Jordan Neely's subway chokehold death case. A New York City judge on Wednesday declined to dismiss the case against Daniel Penny, the Marine veteran who placed a black subway rider, Jordan Neely, in a fatal chokehold last year. Penny, 25, pleaded not guilty in June after a grand jury indicted him on charges of secondary manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide in the May 1 death of Neely, 30, a known subway busker who performed dance routines in costume as Michael Jackson. This is not a just outcome. Daniel Penny is a hero who was working to ensure that everyone on that subway was safe and not subject to the very harm that was being threatened by Jordan Neely, tragically in that case. And it always is a tragedy when there is loss of life. We would have preferred, of course, for no one to have died in that encounter, but obviously the innocent people on that subway were grateful that Daniel Penny was there, someone who actually took the role of Good Samaritan quite seriously, and he ought to have all charges dismissed. But instead of dismissing the charges against a hero, we get this report from NBC News: charges dropped against New York City man accused in fatal subway stabbing. So they'll drop the charges against someone who fatally stabs another in what appears to be a pretty awful crime. But if it's the Good Samaritan, you have to face criminal prosecution. That's where we are right now in this country, and we will continue to hope for a more just and righteous outcome in that case. Also want to update you on a few things going on in the media landscape. We get this report from the New Republic. Baltimore Sun's new right-wing owner kicks things off by insulting everyone on staff. And, of course, the New Republic is not a place to get news. It's just an interesting spasm from the left because David Smith, my friend, a guy I know well, supporter of mine, he is the owner of Sinclair Broadcasting Group, and he just bought the Baltimore Sun for a 9-figure dollar amount. And he starts his ownership tenure with a 2-hour meeting where he tells the staff that he had just read the daily paper 4 times. He announced that though the Sun was a profitable enterprise, it could be more profitable. He allegedly harangued the paper for failing to focus on what he deemed were stories worth reader interest. Smith was asked about previous comments he made in 2018 when he claimed that print media is, quote, so left-wing as to be meaningless dribble. Smith said he stood by those comments. And again, he was asked about if he felt that way about the Baltimore Sun, and he replied, in many ways, yes. David Smith does not care about your feelings. This guy is a titan, a media mogul, someone who understands that the role of the media is not to be a filter, but to just be a microphone, to allow policymakers to be able to say what they need to say. That can be subject to fair pushback. But all that the mainstream media tries to do to produce and fashion and carve narrative out of what's happening can be destructive. And David Smith is someone who I think is going to report real news, and the best days for the Baltimore Sun are undeniably through the windshield, not in the rear view, with David Smith at the helm and as the lead owner. Let's see. Oh, we also want to talk about this Gavin Newsom story. Let's put up the Politico Gavin Newsom story. Gavin Newsom spikes youth tackle football ban. Apparently there had been a push to have tackle football banned in the state of California for some youth sports, and that would have really killed the pipeline for some storied programs like USC and UCLA. And California is a state that produces a lot of prep high school talent for football, and with all the changes in name, image, and likeness, college football is in an era of great change, and to cut off the pipeline of youth sports would probably continue to change that sport a great deal. But Gavin Newsom not siding with the woke-topians on this, who knows, might be yet another sign of the national aspirations of this very ambitious West Coast politician. But tackle football still safe in the state of California today. All right, in just moments, I have to go to the House floor and I have to vote against this turd sandwich of a continuing resolution. America should not be governed by continuing resolution. It is thoroughly unserious, and it is a system designed to avoid the actual review of the agencies and the programs in the federal government. I think it was Ronald Reagan who said that the closest thing you get to immortality is a federal program, and when we embrace this style of budgeting, we turn that into a self-fulfilling prophecy, and indeed an enduring stain on the fiscal health of our nation. This thing's apparently going to March 1, March 8. No demand on border. No demand to defang the weaponization of our government. And sure, cuts off of the Kevin McCarthy deal. Kevin McCarthy made this terrible deal with Biden, and then he had $50 billion in side deals. Johnson claws back $20 billion of that, but it's not sufficient. It's not enough. It's not what the House of Representatives should be doing. We have a slim majority, but we should take it out for a spin every once in a while, as my friend and colleague Chip Roy likes to say. So we fail the test as a Republican House of fighting in this moment. We punt. I'll be voting no. And then in March, we have to continue to try to break the fever. We have to change the paradigm. We cannot align all of this where at the end we're stuck with some massive amount of spending, an open border, and oh, by the way, another $50 billion for Ukraine or some other foreign country. That's what I'll be fighting for. I'm sure glad that many of you fight alongside us to see those things happen. Make sure you're subscribed to Firebrand. Turn your notifications on. Leave us a comment, a review. Whether you like it, you hate it, you want something different, I want to get your feedback. Much appreciated. See you soon. Stay warm. Roll the credits.